Hello, everybody. It's been a while, but we're here. We are live. Welcome to Dice Anvil. This is the channel where my name is Dante, and I've had this channel for a little over a year now, and the purpose is, and still is, to create TTRPGs and to bring attention to people who maybe don't have a voice for their own creations, because I have a love for TTRPGs, and I'm really excited to be able to have a platform with, a growing audience of people that also enjoy the same thing and somehow also want to listen to me talk about it. Real quick, let me test out, make sure that the audio is all working. Okay, I think it sounds pretty good. Good deal. Okay, so today, if you might have seen from the thumbnail, I'm acknowledging some things that is a hard truth for people to realize, especially in the realm of TTRPG design, which is mechanics versus theme. What does that mean? Well, we'll break it down. So let me go ahead and jump into what we are talking about today. Still muted. Okay. I don't know if I'm unmuted now. Let me see. Oh, wait. I think I know what happened. Can you hear me now? Okay, great. Thank you very much. That's super embarrassing. Not a good way to start back live streaming on this channel. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and I'll just re-say what I just said. So the purpose of this channel is to create RPGs, talk about what makes them so great, so fun, and to give a voice. Oh yeah, appreciate that. Glad someone has my back. It is to bring attention to mechanics or game ideas that excite, me and maybe some other people, because I love this hobby. Playing TTRPGs, being able to create a story with other people is such a gift that we have, the ability to play that. It is popularized and has eventually reached me. But let's go ahead and talk about a hard truth when it comes to designing and creating those TTRPGs, because I'm a person that has had a whole lot of trouble when it comes to creating RPGs, because I didn't acknowledge this sometimes hard truth. Why is it hard? Well, because I'm the type of guy that loves cool mechanics. And you would know that from any of my other streams or any of my other videos. I love taking a mechanic that I think is interesting or exciting or would invoke something cool and running with that, and then trying to mold a game around it. Well, I'm learning, I have learned, that that's not the right way to go about making a game that maybe should have some more longevity to it. And the reason that is because if you want to make a full game, not just, a one-shot or like a homebrew mechanic or anything like that, you're going to have to think about the theme, sometimes first and foremost. And what is a theme? I have that already pulled up right here. It's different. It's different than lore. We know that. Some people might have heard me say that and be like, oh, so you're talking about, the history of like this world or whatever. Not necessarily. I also think that the theme is different than just the setting. And this might be a shocker to some people. Oh, 2 eyes in there. This might be a shocker to some people because that's what you would think, Western setting, it is in the West, which is true, but in the context of what I'm talking about here, it's going to be a little bit different. I didn't want to name it Vibe because it's different than that too. In fact, I will say that. Vibe. Vibe. Where are my dyslexia people at? Yeah, it's different than Vibe. If you want to see a video about Vibe, I made a video about that, which, for some reason, but, okay. So, a theme, I would say, would be, what do you want to invoke the players or immerse them into through this game, right? Hey, we can't see what you're typing. Oh, that's so strange, because it says that you totally can't hear. Huh. Oh yeah, what's up with that? Huh. That is so strange. Man, okay. Well, I was going to do a whole thing with this. I was going to do a whole thing, but it looks like this is a disaster of our first stream, I guess. Sorry, everybody. I think when you did, was it fixed mic, it did something? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't want you guys to sit here and just watch me work on the tech of everything going on. I have a whiteboard right here. So maybe in the future I'll just use a whiteboard, something, reliable. But we'll go ahead and just yap for now. And hopefully I'm entertaining and expressive enough to be able to maintain some viewer retention. But anyway, yeah, for every first stream has those teething issues. Happy to sit here and help you get through. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, let me go ahead. Yeah, you sound like you're pretty experienced in this field, which I appreciate. Okay, well, let's see. Nope, still on there like that. I don't know, but yeah, because I've been typing and doing stuff the whole time, and I guess you guys just couldn't see that, so that's my bad. Okay, so different than lore, different than setting, different than vibe. What the theme should be is invoking what you want the players to experience and how you want them immersed in this setting and world, right? And that is something that I personally have neglected in the early stages of TTRPG development. And because of that, I feel like it has struggled. So I can kind of explain what I mean. And I would pull it up next to it, but you guys would have to take my word for it. I'm looking at, dang it. I'm looking at my TTRPG that I was working on called Trichonomist. And that name, I feel, invokes a certain feeling in my viewers, because I was working on this game for a long time, and a lot of the actual game came from these streams, would you believe it or not, or the suggestions I get from viewers, which is, by the way, such a cool thing in my opinion, in my completely unbiased opinion. Is such a cool thing when you can have like a factor in the development of a game and then one day play it. That was kind of the idea, the vision I had, but I kind of went about it in a poor way. You see, I just started making mechanics that I thought were cool. I started running with them, and then I just kind of made things around it, like made the world around it, which is fine. But it made it so I just got so burned out in that stage of the process. I kind of, crammed it in. I tried to mold what little storytelling and like thematic factors around these mechanics, which by the way weren't even that good. Like I'm looking back at them now and I'm like, okay, cool. It's it went from a lot of different things. There was one cool idea that while streaming, I had the viewers help me, figure out and mold, and it was called the dice line, which is basically it's a D10 exploding die, basically mechanic. Well, not exploding die, but like you succeed and you can choose if you want to re-roll that, and you have a certain amount of times you can re-roll, and you can basically decide when to stop. But if you fail a roll, then you fail the roll altogether. after some playtesting, Twin Steel was the one that even coined the term. He was earlier. He popped in earlier, but ultimately it felt really bad in playtesting, and also had nothing to do, and it didn't help the overall game at all. Like, it was just a mechanic that I thought was interesting, so I just crammed it in there. And I want to be very clear, you can do that. You can pull it off, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me personally, it really made the longevity of my interest, and I'm sure the interest of all the people that were going to play it, super limited, right? It's like, especially if it's not that fun. Like, I play tested it, and it was so discouraging when you failed a roll. Because you feel like you're working so hard and you're risking everything for this thing, and then it's the biggest slap in the face, you know? And you're discouraged to continue rolling. That sucks. So, again, I wish I had the other screen pulled up, but I want to talk real quick about some examples from some other TTRPGs that do this successfully, because if I would be a fool to think that I would be creating something for the first time, or I had nothing to learn from other people that have done it successfully. So, real quick, let's talk about that. Again, I have it pulled up. I prepared a whole thing. It'll work next time. But I want to talk about one game that we played on our second channel, and I made a review about it on Dice Anvil, is Mothership. And they could have just made it like a Power by the Apocalypse mechanic and just be done with it. And just be like, oh yeah, you're in space. There you go. Survive. But they went a little further, and they have a stress and panic system, which increases every time something gets worse, and it eventually makes you at risk to panic. You know, you gain stress as you fail certain things, and then you can possibly panic, and then that has other factors that go into the game, and it's such a cool thing. So how does that affect the game? Well, thematically, it makes it so while you're playing, it genuinely is kind of a sense of dread as you build up this stress, because you will. Because every time you fail a roll, you gain a point of stress. I think that is really, really smart for the developers to implement, because of how effective it is during the game. Like, we played that game, and I wasn't even playing. I was being the warden or the GM, but I was still feeling it for my player. Like, it was great, very effective. And it's because it's a horror-based game, right? Let's talk about Vampire the Masquerade. And specifically, I want to talk about, by the way, that's a great game. It has a cool dice pool system with D10s. Coincidentally, my favorite die. Hot take, maybe. Let me see. Mothership is goated. You're absolutely. Hey, it's Michael. What's up, bro? Michael's actually the one that played the game, so yeah, show him some love. But let's talk about Vampire the Masquerade. It specifically has a special kind of die, which is called a hunger die, right? So normally you could just be like, okay, this is a dice pool system, D10s, whoop-de-doo, moving on, right? Well, we're not doing that. And the developers of this game created something different. They track blood points, which is basically has to do with your hunger. And depending on how many, I think, hunger points you have is how many different colored D10s you use in a roll. So in the game, it's like you use red D10s. Hey, Twin Steel's here. What's up, bro? Gotta love dots for World of Darkness. Dots from World of Darkness. Yeah. I gotta look up. I don't know. I know World of Darkness a little bit. I had never played myself, but I'm gonna look up what dots. Because you guys can't see my screen, I guess I can look up whatever I want. Let's look that up. But yeah, these hunger dice, like in the game, yeah, all your D10s are black, but then you have some that are red, and those represent your hunger, this innate monster, the vampire part of you that hungers for, blood and all the good stuff. And if you succeed a certain amount of times with those red dice, those hunger dice, that monster part of you comes out, right? So if you succeed with enough of those red dice, then it's called a messy success or a messy critical. And basically you succeed at what you're doing, but maybe some people get ripped to shreds along the way. Or maybe you reveal a part of yourself that maybe you're trying to keep concealed in your human form. Such a cool idea, and it makes so much sense for the theme. Golly. Okay, I'm about to read about dots from World of Darkness. Let's see. It represents a rating or level of proficiency for the character's traits. Okay, so let me see. Dots cost. When in doubt, go to Reddit. Let me see. Each dot is a D10 that you will roll in a pool, usually connected to like an attribute or ability. Okay, gotcha. Has 3 dots in dexterity. Okay, gotcha. But World of Darkness is what vampire, werewolf, and mage used to be in. Oh, really? Nice. Learn something new every day. Here's Twin Steel here to teach me a thing or two about a thing or two. But yeah. Okay, yeah. So that kind of plays into the theme of like overlapping all these different skills and like the versatility of like World of Darkness. And it's a cool looking game. Yeah. And if it's where vampire, yeah. What vampire, werewolf, and mage used to be in. That's pretty sick. Okay, yeah, if you roll a 7 or higher, it's a success. Yeah, you can add certain attributes like your dexterity and stuff like that, or agility. Nice. Good deal. Let's talk about another game. I want to talk about how does D&D use what it has to its advantage? Well, how do the mechanics amplify the feeling that it's trying to give you? Well, D&D is very much a fantasy superhero type story, right? Like you're gonna become these insane, like powerful deities of, people that are going on these quests or these knights, these magic users, but it's very much a journey. So the leveling up system and the HP, the complex mechanics for combat all play into the factor to give you that specific feel. It's tactile, it's crunchy, and it's ultimately rewarding. That's one thing I really like about D&D's mechanics are very video gamey. Mike, I've heard you say that before, and I actually totally agree. Yeah, it feels a lot like you're in a video game, especially with the HP, and it's like, it's very predictable in a way. Like, if you reach a certain amount of HP or AC, then you're gonna hit, and then your weapon can do X, Y, and Z. And that applies really well for a lot of people, especially people that like to play video games. I completely agree with that, 100%. So, but yeah, if you guys come up with any more examples, you might see that I have a Q&A up there. Let me see. I think I can also check on that. Okay, yeah. But if you come up with anything else, please put it up in the Q&A so I can look over that. But let's talk about how we're going to apply this to this channel going forward. Man, I hate that my screen isn't working right now. Otherwise, I could show you guys what I've been working on. Dang it. Let me try one more time. Nope. Still not working. That's cool. Mike, you're gonna give me crap about this one next time we record because I feel like I should have this all figured out by now. But anyway, so how does this apply to our game? Well, I think that I want the theme of this game I'm creating right now. Again, I'm gonna make more in the future and have different themes. Let's see. You might say video game mechanics are very D&D. Yeah, Toy, that's it. That's the right way to say it, right? That reminds me, I was really into disc golf in like high school and college and stuff like that, and it's kind of known as like the lamer version of regular golf. But I would rebel against that notion by calling regular golf ball golf. It always got a crack out of the middle-aged, wealthy men that used to play golf around me, and it's always pretty funny. But yes, I would say video games, everything video game is inspired probably by D&D in some way or fashion, right? Right. Yeah, you might be right. Yeah. This is great. Okay. So it's trying to invoke that video gamey feel, right? And it does so, I think, very successfully, as many of you guys agree. But what do I want this game to invoke? I want it to invoke a feeling of wonder, right? I wanted to invoke a feeling of discovery and pushing the player to check out more things, you know. Oh, there's a weird structure. We gotta go look over there, you know? Or I also wanted to invoke a feeling of really character development heavy and character development forward. I'm thinking about there's some mechanics that I've picked here and there from other TTRPGs. One of them is from Avatar, you know, Airbender Avatar, not giant blue people Avatar. They have a TTRPG, and in that they have a specific conditions section, which I almost straight up stole everything from that because it was such a good idea. You have a condition, it might be like, you know, enraged, right? Then you have a certain thing that you have to do in order to relieve that condition. So for example, again, you guys can't see, but I'm looking at my character sheet that I've been working on. You have disoriented as a condition for the mind, and in order to clear that, you have to have the situation clarified by a peer, or maybe you discover it yourself. That's basically like if, you know, your vision's blurry, you're looking around, everything around you feels like sounds muffled, you know, shell-shocked, and you have a person in front of your face going, hey, come back to me, you know, kind of that feel. You also got, like, another one is despair. If you're feeling despaired or very upset, you can have a NPC or a peer of some kind come to you and inspire you. It's just really teeing up the player for these real, like, role-play scenarios, these scenes that you would see in a movie or you would read about in a book. And I think it's so cool that this game made the bold decision to basically require those things of the players while keeping it broad enough for them to still make it kind of their own. Like fear means if you get fear, you have to escape. Holy crap. You have to escape danger at all costs. Well, guess what? You don't have to be just afraid of a big scary monster in front of you. You can be afraid after maybe you're on stage and you have stage fright. You can be afraid you can have fear when, like, you know that some person's going to come in and interview you for a job and you're, like, afraid or something like that, you know? And that can make an interesting scene because it doesn't say just run away from danger. You just have to escape it or evade danger at any cost. In fact, I might just change the wording to evade because that's a little bit more versatile. But anyway, so when you're creating a game, again, also, Mike, I don't know if you're still around, but I know we're in the talks of working on a big project eventually, and this is good stuff to consider. And we're doing it the right way. We have a great idea for this world, for this scenario that the players are going to be in, and we're going to create or add mechanics accordingly to amplify the feeling that we're trying to invoke with that game, right? Such a good idea, and I can't wait to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it today, but it's going to be cool. But anyway, so one way, again, let me know if you guys like this or not. I'm going to talk about this a lot, are abilities. But in this game, we're going to call them attributes because it's not just special abilities. It encompasses descriptions of your character, you know, skills, you know, magic abilities, maybe a cool tool that you're kind of inseparable from. All those things can be encompassed into these attributes. If you guys heard of Legend in the Mist or City of Mist, you might be familiar with this. This isn't that really, but it's definitely very inspired by that. I read about Legend in the Mist and City of Mist years ago, and ever since then, I'm just like, wow, what a bold move to basically not have any attributes, you know, no strength, speed, charm, charisma, all that crap thrown away. Instead, let's have words or these type of, they call them traits. Yeah. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's very different from the Mist series. Okay. What part were you referring to there? You're talking about the because in I know the traits in Legend in the Mist is very much it's like replacing all that crap and instead you just have a word or a certain thing associated with your character. It focuses so much on the character itself. Like, you might be, let me pull up some examples, but I'm pretty sure one of them is like, you are, let me see. Okay, so Twin Steel says Myst is an old point and click video game. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Then yes, it is very different than that. And besides being a game, it might be one of the most different things you could possibly have. Okay, so let me see. What are some traits? Oh yeah, so it could be like empathy, honesty. Nope, that's a whole different thing. Let of the Mist. I'm actually kind of glad that I have an opportunity to be able to do all this research behind the scenes. Man, what a cool looking game. The art on this game is so sick. Legends of the Mist is different than the Myst video game. Yes, Mike, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of different traits you can have, but basically those replace any attributes that you would have in D&D, like Constitution, Dexterity, all that fun jazz. But what I like about that is because it's invoking that feeling of this character is the first and foremost, most important part of this game. Like, when you're creating a character and you choose them to have empathy, that usually doesn't even come across my mind when I'm making a D&D character, because I'm like, who cares? In this game, it matters so much. And I'm obviously going to do some shifting around with that idea, but I think that the philosophy in my game would remain similar. It's like, yeah, if you've ever played a TTRPG with me, you know that I care deeply about the characters in that game. So that will be maybe one of the most important parts of the character. There'll still be attributes, you know, like your intellect, your passion, harmony, all that jazz. But there'll also be these attributes which will basically take the place of any abilities or skills that you may have. Still working on that. I'm gonna make a video talking about that, and I'm pretty excited to develop those. I'm looking at the character sheet right now. Again, wish you guys could see it. Also, I also have I guess this is a kind of an important announcement to make concerning this. For majority of this channel, I've been talking about how I'm making Trichonomus Alpha. You know, that's already made. That's already up on diceanvil.com, which, by the way, you can download for free over there. Will there be more than three? More than three attributes? Oh yeah, there'll be a. Let me see. Yeah, there'll be a ton. Oh, you're talking about like the. Yeah, it's similar to the Trichonomus system, where it's body, mind, soul are those three different tiers of what it could be. Which, by the way, is a huge trend nowadays. Like the Cosmere RPG has it. Like a bunch of games are now doing that, which I think makes total sense. But body, mind, soul, under body, you have, I'm thinking, simplifying the wording, making it strength and speed. Under mind, you have like intelligence and like a focus type mechanic. And under soul, you have two, which are a little different than what you might see in the Cosmere or some other games, which is passion and harmony. And those are different because, if you guys don't know, I study psychology, and I am, you know, so I care a lot about, you know, the different types of personalities and different aspects that can make a person act the way they do. And honestly, I think a good way to show that would be, is this character passionate or are they more harmonious? You know, are they, this also applies to like, hey, are they more of a outward or what's it called? Introvert or outrovert? Oh no, extrovert. Oh no, dang it. Oh no, guys. Okay. Okay, Mike says, what if you also added a heart attribute that could be used for bravery, charisma, fear, etc.? Okay, yeah, that's actually a really good, like a willpower, basically, kind of attribute. Yeah, I've actually, I've had a lot of scratch parts of my games, or like different mechanics that I've played with that basically had that. So this would be like something like a, yeah. So if we were to do that, it would probably, everything there could probably fall under. See, this is kind of where I'm on the fence, because you could do passion and harmony and just be like, those are different types of ways you can engage with the world, right? But it can also be kind of confusing, because you're like, I'm trying to convince this person, and then you would just ask like, okay, do you want to do it harmoniously, or like or force them to help you out by using passion? Well, you know, it's like, well, whatever one's higher, you know, it's going to be an easy choice for the player every time, and one of those aspects are never ever going to matter, which is kind of a shame. So I've been playing around with making like different ones, like willpower and presence being different ones. One of them being presence being like your outward expression, like any charisma based roles you're doing. Maybe you're doing a magic ability, so you want to have like that type of discrimination like for different abilities. And then willpower, which is anything like defensive or like pushing yourself to do a certain thing. It would count as bravery and stuff like that as well. So, Mike, that might be an idea, actually. Kind of think of it, that does make a lot more sense. I'm literally going to add that to this. Let's do presence and willpower? Or just will? We'll workshop it. Twin steel. Let's see. Mining from some MBTI and big 5 personality types. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's I recently watched a video about the Cosmere RPG, and they suggest that if you're picking a Knight's Radiant or a Radiant type class, you take basically a personality test to find out which one was best suited for the type of character you want to play by taking that personality test from the character's perspective. And that's such a cool idea. I don't want to be too demanding of my players, so I haven't included that officially in the rules, but I'm thinking about making like a really short personality test, and you pretend that your character, get in their mind, answer those questions, and kind of figure out what you should prioritize, or like what your ideals will be. Such a good idea. Actually, I know you kind of meant that as a joke, but like, yeah, it might actually make you the cut. Mike says, I like the idea of each attribute having an active and passive sub-attributes. Mind would be active, would be like investigative. Mind passive would be perspective. Yeah. So that would be kind of like the idea of like focus versus like intelligence. You know, intelligence is like interacting with the world around you, and focus, or what I've called in the past instinct, would be something that's like internal, you know? It would be like, yeah, I don't know. It's like there's be certain ways that you should be able to do that. Body can just stay, I guess, strength and speed, because you're going to be using that, and you need to know what those are quick. I don't think there's any reason to make that more complicated. I'll get into the dice mechanic that I've been thinking would come into this, but not in this stream, in a future stream, because I still haven't ironed out all the details yet. But I am very much taking the approach of, I want this to be a narratively focused game. So the roles are basically going to apply more to the situation than the character's individual ability to accomplish their certain goal. I know that was a lot of words, but you guys are really smart. I think you got that. Oh, Mike's getting me a whole thing. Body active would be strength and dexterity. Body passive constitute. Oh, I gotcha. So you're saying like there's like an offensive, the active offense version, and then a more passive defensive version of these things. That reminds me, Mike, remember when we played Mothership, and they had all these saves that apply to different things. Like they had fear, sanity, and something else, I forget. But they apply to different things, basically. Oh, like a body kind of save or whatever. But it kind of had the same idea of like, yes, you have this, and yes, you have like this amount of strength, and it contributes to your basically constitution, or your ability to withstand damage. Yeah, it's always a cool idea, you know? You could have a sort of Punnett square. Oh, yeah? Oh, man, you guys can't see, but I was about to start making a Punnett square, basically. Basically for, you know, the different... Oh, yeah. Mind, body, spirit, times active, passive. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, you totally could. And just intersect it at the certain points you want it to be. Almost like a type of morality system, you know? Except for what your priorities are in that. Oh, that's pretty sick, actually. Yeah. That's pretty sick. And that would be something useful for the character creation as well. You know, you could have all these different things and be like, okay, I want my character to be strong. Now do I want it to be, you know, like strong, like tough and durable? Or do I want to also or do I want it to be like strong, like I could punch a hole through a wall pretty easily, you know? They'll both probably affect each other. I think that if you choose strength as your primary, it automatically applies like a bonus to both. But then you get to prioritize, do I want passive or active? That could be sick. And that'd be a cool way to also show, you know, the character creation process in a way that I think isn't so abstract. You know, it makes it pretty easy to understand how that would work. That's pretty sick. But yeah. But much like, yes, Twin Steel. But much like, Blades in the Dark has a similar mechanic where it doesn't really prioritize all these individual roles as much. Instead, it focuses on the, like, if you want to attack a person, but it's for the purpose of, you know, trying to threaten the other people around him, then it would change the role. It wouldn't be an attack role, it'd be like a performance check or something like that. In that way, it kind of is meta in the way that it goes about. Again, I don't really care that much for that kind of mindset because it's kind of clunky, but the philosophy there is that it prioritizes these certain roles. And it prioritizes like the reasons you're doing the roles instead of the roles itself, which I think is pretty cool. The music I put together sometimes just randomly will just cut out. There it is. Okay. Man. So I'm gonna probably get the stream kind of coming to a close here. Most of them are gonna be about this length, if probably longer, but about this length would be ideal. What am I thinking as far as the future for these streams? One is have the video working. I think that would be step number one. I feel like that wouldn't be too much to ask from you guys. And I'm going to talk about next week. Probably I'm going to talk about classes, species, overall world building of this world, magic systems, the combat system, and it's always going to be structured the same. We're going to talk about other games and or like other news related to the TCRPG space, and then we're going to address the development of this game. I've already made Trichonomous Alpha. It can keep its name, but I'm going to tell you guys right now, this is like the big announcement that I basically wanted to come up here and stream for, is I have changed Trichonomous, 2.0, you could call it, so much that it has warranted being a whole different game. And with that, I have taken a different approach to creating it, which is theme first. You guys might have seen on the Discord, if you're on the Discord, that I released a couple months ago, like the cover art. And I've been really working on art lately, and I think that's a good place to start. Start bars, okay? Because it really helps you figure out what you want the theme to be. I want the theme of this game to be about discovery, about the characters themselves, and about basically making your character, molding it to what you want it to be through that discovery process. So I haven't come up with an official name for this game, but it's going to be very different mechanically, but also thematically. Trichonomus 2E. I don't know. Part of the reason, I'm going to be honest, the name Trichonomus has always been very clunky to me. When I first thought of it, I was like, dude, I have to name this thing Trichonomus. That's such a sick name. It's a lot. It's hard to remember. Practically, it's a little tough. Looking forward to next week. When's it going to be? Tuesdays? Yes, I'm thinking Tuesdays would be a good time to have those. We're going to have a lot of, at least the research I've done says that weekdays are definitely better, and also just better for me, personally, to be able to be consistent in. I know before we had Saturday mornings, and those were nice in theory, but holy smokes. Like every Saturday morning, I was not fully prepared to give those up, just because I'm a busy boy, and I know we have a lot of busy people, especially on Saturdays and the weekend. But I'm thinking maybe we can test things out for Tuesdays. I chose 1 Central because I want to make sure people might be able to do it on their lunch break. I know Twin Steel, you're at work now. I don't know what time you would be most available. But if you want to type it in the comments, that would probably help me gauge maybe refining that time. But I want to make sure that as many people as possible have the opportunity to engage, because like we did today, we got to have some cool discussions and got to overall work together on creating something, which I think is an opportunity that, you shouldn't be forced to pass up. Absolutely. But yeah, for now, Tuesdays. I can't wait to show you guys all this, but yeah. Trichonomus, I think, will be its own separate entity. We'll call it Trichonomus Alpha. The game is too different now in almost every way. There are some slight similarities, but the majority of it is like so minuscule it won't matter that much. Oh, you never know when you'll be available. Okay, fair enough. So I guess it's just kind of up there. Yeah, I get that. My job has a similar structure. So it's supposed to be after 3, but that's not what happens. Oh yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Hey, you made it here today, and you specifically said you might not be able to. So, I mean, I appreciate you stopping by, my man. Also, Mike, I'm glad you stopped by. Our good friend, JOJ5150, he helped me out in the beginning with the mic stuff. Appreciate you, my guy. But I'm probably going to go ahead and end it there and say there's a lot of good stuff to look forward to. A lot of stuff I want to show you guys. A lot of stuff I want to hear from you guys. But next Tuesday, we're going to talk about world building. And I'm just going to pitch basically this new game world I've been cooking up. We're going to talk about a lot of different other fun worlds and world building experiences. And we're going to also address the dangers of world building, right? This not so fun part. Maybe another hard truth type of video, because you got to stop eventually. And it's hard for us, All right, guys. Well, without further ado, I'm going to cut us off there. But I will see you guys next Tuesday. Take care.